an internal locus of control versus the external locus of control? So first of all, what is an internal locus of control? What even is a locus, first of all? And I'm not talking about the bug that flies around. I'm talking about a locus, Locus, which means a particular point or position. So when you have an internal locus of control, that means that you look inside for your power. If you have an external locus of control, then you're looking to a point or position outside for your power. So here I have a cell phone. And if I asked you, how does a cell phone light up and make all this noise and sound, like where does the power actually come from for this phone to be able to do that wherever I take it? And you might answer that the power source of the phone is the battery. And that's true. Inside the phone, there's a battery, right, that carries the power. And of course, we have to plug that battery into an external greater source in order to charge the battery, in order for it to continue to power the phone. But the phone has an internal locus of power, right? So where do you get your power from? If we go really basic, like Psalm 46 basic, when the physical body dies and goes back to the ground, the spirit goes back to source. So there is an energy force in us, the spirit, ruach in Greek, that is eternal, everlasting, powering the human, right? So we have something inside of us that is powering us to be able to keep going and going and going and going, right? Energizer. So it's like an internal battery, but this is not a battery that you're going to pick up at the dollar store. This is an extraterrestrial battery source that we have. And this extraterrestrial ethereal power source doesn't have any particular shape. It just isn't even visible to human eyes. It is of another dimension, right? But it is able to power our physical body. And once the physical body can no longer sustain spirit, spirit returns to source, right? So I ask you again, where does your power come from? Well, originally, yes, came from source, but as of day to day, moment to moment, your power is internal, right? Your power is actually inside of you. You're walking around with your power source. Does that make sense? Good. Now, what happens to trauma survivors is they walk around thinking that the power is outside of them somewhere. And so when it comes to getting validation or getting someone to bolster them up or encourage them or soothe them, they're always looking outside for everything. That's where they look to for their power. Some people look to money for their power. They look to status for their power. What about you? Where do you look for your power? People who have an external locus of control, imagine that out there is where all the control is for their life. And they don't have any control over their life. So society is to blame, or someone else is to blame for why they can't get ahead, or why they fail, or their shortcomings, or the economy is to blame, or fate is to blame, instead of taking responsibility, because they don't have power, they don't have responsibility. They have it, they just don't notice it, right? Some people avoid responsibility, always looking to someone else to make decisions for them. Are you the type to call someone else, hey, what do you think I should do? Hey, I have a really important thing going on. What do you think I should do? Right? And they're looking to others to make their decisions, to take initiative. They don't take ownership of themselves. They're avoiding responsibility. They want to be able to blame someone else covertly if something goes wrong in their life. So if they're going to make a decision, they look to someone outside to validate that decision, to decide for them what their decision should be. Sounds unhealthy? Is unhealthy. Is unhealthy. Where does this come from? Trauma survivors may have had overbearing parents, narcissistic parents that made them feel like they couldn't look inside themselves or they couldn't trust themselves, right? But the whole time, I'm here to tell you the whole time, the power has been in you. The whole time, the power has been in you. The parents are there to help to facilitate the growth of the human, to recognize, to realize the ethereal power within them so that they can go and be great and imitate the divine. You can't do that if you're avoiding responsibility. If you're in learned helplessness, if you feel helpless, if you have a pervasive belief that you have no control over your circumstances, over the outcome of your life, you can't go out and create something amazing. You can't be a creator. If you have an external locus of control, then you're seeking external validation, constantly seeking approval from others, someone else to affirm your actions, your decisions. If you're just joining us, we're talking about the locus of control, being internal or external. A locus means the point or particular position. So if you have an external locus of control, you're focused on everywhere else for your control. You're looking into other people's eyes and you're trying to find somewhere, something to validate you. One client today said she called a friend to tell that friend about something that happened at work because she wanted to feel validated. Then that friend had the nerve to invalidate her for her feelings. So when she got off the phone with that friend, her impulse was to call another friend so that she can complain about how that friend invalidated her position. You see what we're doing there? Many of us are guilty of this one. External locus of control. We need somebody outside to validate what just happened. Okay, fine. So what would it mean to have an internal locus of control? What would it be like to have an internal locus of control? Well, one of the traits you're going to have is you're going to be the type of person to take responsibility. Why? Because someone who has the responsibility is the person who has the power. So being responsible is a power move. It is an exhibition of your power. When you have personal power, when you recognize the power inside of you, and you don't mind stepping up and saying, I'll take responsibility for this. We act on personal responsibility. We don't look to blame anyone else for our failures. We look to create success for ourselves. We don't look for someone else to make our decisions for us. We don't look for someone else to help us to get motivated to take action. Someone who has an internal locus of control takes initiative. This means that they're going to take proactive steps to achieve a certain goal rather than waiting for something externally to magically happen for them. Someone who has an internal locus of control shows persistence. They recognize that nobody else is going to get it done for them. They need to get it done. How? Through persistence, by being relentless. So they move toward their goal. Through these things, taking responsibility, taking initiative, showing persistence, they've seen in their lives that they have the power to move mountains. They can make big things happen. When you have an internal locus of control, you realize that you have the power to make big things happen. And as a result, you rely upon yourself. Is that sad? It's anything but sad. This is total freedom. Do you think it was sad when they figured out how to make a phone not have to have a cord attached at all times? That's not sad. That's not sad. That's the best thing that ever happened to the phone. The industry exploded. Everyone has one of these in their pockets. Multi-billion-dollar industry to figure out how to help something to be autonomous, which means to be able to work without any outside power source powering it. That is you. Look around yourself. There's no umbilical cord connected anymore. You were made to be autonomous, to be a being who has power within themselves. What are you doing with the ruach inside of you? Are you ignoring it so that you can look to someone else to make a decision for you? Newsflash, they don't make better decisions than you. Are you looking to someone else so that they can take the initiative for you? So that they can take responsibility for you? In the end, every individual has an accounting for themselves, for their decisions, for their life, for their actions. Don't look to the outside. There's no one in a better position to help you, to serve you, to save you, to soothe you than you. You're the one who knows what you need. So be a good parent to yourself. Somebody with an internal locus of control sets high standards for themselves and works towards achieving them without needing someone else to set that standard for them, to give them a reward, to give them a threat, to give them an incentive. Meaning they're self-motivated. Because they recognize that it's up to them, that they're the ones who have to live the life they create, that they're the ones who have to take responsibility for the life that they create. And so they go and they create their own life. A person with an internal locus of control is adaptable. They embrace change rather than fearing it and fleeing from it. They view challenges as opportunities for growth and learning rather than threats to their stability. A person with an internal locus of control is independent. They make their decisions based on their personal values, their personal beliefs, their personal goals, rather than being overly influenced by external opinions and pressures, right? A person with an internal locus of control is confident. And this is what you can be. Don't you want to be confident? Don't you want to be able to trust in your own abilities and your own skills to be able to navigate different situations? Where does that come from? Confidence is belief. Belief is based on evidence. You will be confident if you believe in yourself. But how can you believe in yourself? Well, you need evidence to support the fact that you are someone you can believe in. Well, where do you get the evidence? Well, probably there's already evidence that exists, but you get evidence by going out and creating it, meaning you have to go take risks in your life and stop being afraid. You need to make calculated risks and take them. Apply for that job, start that business, speak up for yourself, set boundaries, move out of your family's house. You need to take risks. And when you do things for yourself, you say, wow, I did that all for myself. And now you've built up evidence that you can continue to trust in yourself, which then makes you confident. Does that make sense? So one of my clients today gave me an example of something that bothered her, which was a really good example I want to bring into the conversation today. This is the example of being copied by another person. So if you have a coworker that copies you, or a fellow student that copies you, or even worse, a teacher or an employer that copies you, they take your style, the way you dress, the way you walk, the way that you talk, and then they take your work, they steal your work, then they take credit for it like they came up with all that stuff. This could be a source of irritation. Have you ever had someone like that? Someone that just looked at you and then saw you as a whole essence that they could harvest. And they decided, oh, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be that person. And then they try to become you. Okay, this can be very irritating, but it's unbearable when we have an external locus of control, because we're looking to the outside. We're so worried about how other people are thinking, how other people are viewing us, what other people will think, and what they're giving. And what this other person is doing, who's really a bully, a thief, and they're stealing from us, and they don't have any creativity for themselves, they don't have any originality for themselves, and so they're taking from us. And so we become so annoyed, so angry at them. How could they do this? Don't they have any ideas of their own? But for this situation, we need to navigate it from an internal locus of control. The reason why it's bothering you so much is because you have an external locus of control. You're looking to the outside world as if the outside world is going to be the determiner on your life. Like the control is out there somewhere. The control isn't out there. So what should we do if we find ourselves being harvested for ideas, style, essence? We find someone else copying us. What should we do? If they steal from us, what should we do? Renee says imitation is the highest form of flattery. Renee is correct. We should simply switch our viewpoint from being insulted to being flattered. Oh, I, I see that these people insist upon validating how amazing I am, despite the fact that I'm not seeking validation. They're giving me this free validation. Thank you so much. I guess my ideas are the bomb. I guess I am amazing because look, this person's over here is copying me. These people over here are stealing my ideas. I guess I really am as great as I thought I was. They are validating me despite the fact I'm not even looking for the validation. The imitation is a high form of flattery. We need to switch our belief system. Your job is not to worry about what they're doing. That's a person with an external locus of control worrying about another person with an external locus of control. They're trying to be you because they're outside of themselves, and then you go outside of yourself. Hey, you trying to be me? Don't worry about that. Take it as a compliment and move on. Do you think I've never been copied? Every older sibling in this chat has been copied. It's normal to be copied. I'd like you to understand that. This is important for you to understand because you're getting in your feelings about people doing this to you. I need you to listen carefully. Anyone who's great is imitated. Anyone who's great is imitated. They are mocked, they are stolen from. Their ideas get taken. And it's not all bad. Obviously, there's the wicked people who take your ideas, they give you no credit, and they want all the credit for themselves. It's true. But all of us are really copying one another on some level. Do you think every thought, every idea I say is so 100% my own? Like I never got any 90% of what I say, I heard it somewhere else, right? It's the same for you. And we have our own ideas. I have my own phrases and styles and things like that. But if someone takes that, if someone imitates that, it doesn't need to be a source of irritation to me. It's not taking away who I am. A person with an external locus of control doesn't realize that. They think, oh no, this is a threat to me. It is not a threat to you when someone copies you. Because they can never be as good at being you as you can be at being you. So there is no threat. It's actually funny. As you look at them, you should laugh the way you would laugh if you saw your child imitating you. Because that's what they're showing you. They're saying, you're daddy, you're mommy, I'm your son, I'm your daughter. That's how you should view it. Like, oh, oh, look at you. That's so cute. You tried to copy my style. I see how you didn't quite do it right. And that's how you should talk to them too. That's what I do. When someone copies me, I troll them and I say, oh, close, close. So you didn't quite get Roman all the way. What you need to do here is you got to untuck the shirt a little bit. And you got to here put the glasses like that, right? and you clown them because really it's funny to you because they will never be as good at being you as you are at being you, right? And so my client really nailed me to the ground. She said, no, I need you to understand. What if they stole? I mean, they put on the shirts like you wear. They went on and made the YouTube videos like you, and they had the glasses like you. They took all your material, and then they put it out, and then they get bigger than you. They go into the millions on YouTube faster than you. Now, how would you feel, Roman? Well, I would feel irritated, but not because they copied me. I feel irritated because I'm competitive. And really, when I see anyone doing well in the space where I'm working, I get a little source of irritation. I like it. I want to have that irritation because it drives me. It's like a little fire under me. Like, are you doing better than me? That makes me want to work harder, right? But I use that on purpose. But ultimately, my locus of control is internal. So my focus is on what do I need to do to get my views up so that I can go into the millions. And when I think there, all of a sudden things start firing and I start realizing, oh yeah, I'm the best at being me. So if they got here by imitating me, then think about how far I can go by being me. I'm the original. That's how you should view yourself. You're the original, baby. You're the originator. You're one of a kind. So if they're taking from you, if they're stealing from you, you don't have to feel any type of way about it. Ultimately, they have nothing without you. Feel sad for them. Feel sad for them. I don't want to. I don't want to punch down on my narcissistic ex-wife, but I will use her as an example because she had a coaching business that she started, and then what she would do because she was empty inside, she would imitate me. So basically, she would come to me with her issues with her clients and things like that, and then ask me for how do I deal with this? What do I tell my clients about this? So she would get a lot of her material from me. Okay. So once we got divorced and she calls me for advice, I'm like, hey, you can't call me. You don't get access to me anymore. We're done. Right. Now she has no one to tap into to be her source of wisdom for how she's going to lead her coaching business. And what happened to her coaching business? Disappeared, thin air, it's gone, like the mist. Soon as I was gone, it was gone. Why? Because I'm the originator, because I'm the source, right? Because the locus of control's in here for me. I don't have to look to someone else for how to do what I do. She had to look for someone else. So therefore, when we split, I'm doing better than ever because no one's draining me and her business goes kaput. It doesn't exist anymore. Again, apologies for blasting her like that, but the truth is just the truth. So it's not meant to be an insult. Are you learning a lesson from this? So what are you supposed to do when somebody's jacking your style? You should look at them, see it as flattery, see it as information, see it as inspiration. Say, hey, you're doing pretty good with that. Let me see what I can do. If it's your boss and they're moving with it and they're excelling with it, then they're showing you you could be the boss. That's what they're showing you. They're saying, hey, you could do this. You understand? So see that as so, and if they're doing better than you, so to speak, in whatever metric you're looking at, then imitate what they're doing that makes it better than you so that you can steal that and jack it back and bring it back to the original and then use that and go with it. You understand? We're all borrowing from each other. We're all borrowing from each other. So don't worry so much about it. Don't worry. And if you got someone who's really that obsessed with you, yeah, I mean, it's gross, but you focus on your thing. What are you building for you? Focus on what you can control. That is the biggest key to how to get through this. Focus on what you can control when someone's jacking your stuff. One of the best examples of this, and believe me, On social media, this happens all the time. I've definitely gone online. I remember a client told me, they're like, "Hey, I saw you on a guy that I follow. He's got millions of followers. I saw you in one of his videos." And it's because he credited me, but basically also kind of stole my whole video. But he did give me the credit, and he stole the stuff that I was talking about, and then he put that on his channel, and then he gets millions of views for it, right? Well, should I feel bad? No, there's nothing to feel bad about. We're all borrowing from each other. You think I don't watch these other people and then say, "Oh, that's a good idea. I'll talk about this. I'll talk about that." It's fine. It's fine. We're all borrowing from each other. So, what do you do if it's really bad? One woman was a musician. She wrote a beautiful tune. A DJ stole her tune, didn't give her any credit, and his album went like platinum for using her song. And she's like, "Hey, I didn't get properly credited for this. What should you do if you're in that situation?" Well, in something like that, you may be able to take action to follow up on a copyright suit. Sure. But ultimately, it all comes down to focusing on what you control. Get out of the outside and what's happening out there and get in here to what you want to happen. Because everything gets created first from the vision. So you visualize what you want to happen for yourself, and then you build that. If you are a songwriter and someone took your song and they went platinum with it, and you didn't get to go platinum yet, only thing you should be saying to yourself is, "That's my validation that I didn't ask for. That's my proof that I got it." It's a good thing. And now I'm going to tighten up my little security on how I'm doing this, and I'm going to write the next song because I'm the source. I'm the original. And then you recreate it and you go. You create your own hit and you go again. And you take it to the top before they can. It's a race. That's how life is. Very much a competition. It's a race. One of the most extreme examples I could think of this was Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is the biggest musician in the world. And she's always been big. And I think she got big when she was like 15, 16 or something like that. But she's always wrote her own songs, and she wrote her stuff, and she was singing her songs as a little teenager with her record deal. Anyway, in the end, once she grew out of that record deal, got into her 20s and continued to grow because she's just absolutely talented, she looked back and said, "Hey, I want those songs from when I was 16, 15 years old. That's very nostalgic to me." And she tried to talk to them and say, "Hey, let's work out a deal where I can buy ownership of these songs, because I know with the deal I signed, you're the owner of my songs," which is crazy, but let's just work it out. And they said, "No, we can't work it out. We own these songs, and we're going to take them and we're going to sell them to the absolute highest bidder, and you can't afford what your own songs are worth." Now imagine that. Think about how she felt. You're taking my songs, you're selling them to the highest bidder, and you're refusing to sell them to me. I made them. I mean, when we say she made the songs, she wrote them, she recorded them, she played the instruments, right? She's singing on the song. It is her. It's her voice. She wants that recording. She wants that ownership of it. It's nostalgic to her. And they just said, "No, we own it. That was the deal you signed when you were a child, and we have this for the rest of your life." She easily could have become bitter, decided to quit. Hey, what's the use if people are just going to steal from me? There's nothing I can do about it, right? She easily could have just given up, but she didn't quit. She continued to make more music, more hits, more albums, and grew bigger. And eventually, when she was the biggest artist in the world, she decided, "You know what? I got one for them because I'm the source. I'm the originator." And she went back into the studio and she re-recorded every single one of those old songs so that she could release them and say, hey, fans, buy this version of all my old songs, my re-recording, because this one belongs to me. And the old one doesn't belong to me, unfortunately, so don't buy that one anymore. She found a way to take ownership. How? It was by focusing on an internal locus of control. Instead of saying, I don't control things, and focusing on what she couldn't control, which there were things she couldn't control, she looked at what she could do, and then she did something about it. So be powerful. Recognize your power comes from the inside, not from the outside. It's not out there. Don't ask other people's opinions and help and for them to validate you. Focus first on yourself. When you get good news or bad news, go first internal. Take some time with it. Don't call anyone. Hold it for hours, maybe days before you tell anyone the good or bad news. Form your own opinion on it before someone else comes and gives you their idea and their take on how you should feel. This is how we become more of an individual. So I want you to focus on building an internal locus of control. Spend more time with yourself, not always with the music in your ear and something on your screen. Spend time with you. You're not that bad if you get to know you.